okay. Bike lore. There was an e-bike that had no, I'm blanking on the name, the terminology, but like this, there's no center for the bike. So they were like Tron bicycles, basically. And you had to have an app to be able to like use them. And so, I'll just show you. I'll just show you. It's a man, thank you. This is what 5-year-old me thought I was gonna do for a job. Give me 3 more years.
This is a Revo hubless bicycle, a rare futuristic e-bike that raised over $6.7 million on Indie.
Fucking Kickstarter scam.
Up and vanished, leaving everybody who ordered one without a bicycle or asking for a refund, except for the customer who bought this bicycle. He sold it to me on eBay at a loss after seemingly not riding it at all. From what I can find, of the 2,700 people who ordered a Revo hubless bicycle, only about 150 actually got them delivered.
This is a premium collector's item, chat. Premium. Fun fact about these, they use a whole bunch. Again, this is why I kind of have beef with e-bikes. Because these fuckers use a bunch of proprietary parts that you can't just replace. Even opening it up to access like the console to be able to do repairs on it is a fucking nightmare.
Before everything fell apart, and if the things I'm reading about it are true, it might be the worst bicycle ever made. And today, I'm gonna ride it for the first time and find out. Clearly, the thing looks insane. The wheel is just this big, open, hubless donut, but there's a reason most bicycles have hubs. It's really hard to do, and they had to make a lot of sacrifices to make the Revo hubless. And apparently, people were not very happy with it.
Yeah, who woulda fucking thunk? Who woulda fucking thunk? Imagine a dock with no fucking support beams. Same vibe.
It wasn't a very good bike. What went wrong?
Yeah, let's reinvent the fucking wheel.
With their Indiegogo campaign. Now, as you can see, they spared no expense on this promotional video. This guy uses the fingerprint scanner to secure his Revo at a cafe, only to get a tamper notification initiated by a woman admiring his Revo. They then make a bunch of claims about the bike, like how smooth it rides and how revolutionary the pedal assist is, and they ask you to join the Revolution. And join they did. But that was almost 5 years ago. Of would-be customers desperately trying to contact Revo. And if you visit Revo's social pages...
You absolute charlatans! I have finally received the bike, and it is exactly what others have said. A pile of shit. Cheap plastic parts, Bluetooth not working, making weird noises, nothing works properly, the battery compartment doesn't close, the phone mount is a joke, I can keep going on and on. I'm just staring at it thinking you had one job, make a functional bike. You did everything except that. I wish you had kept it and shoved it. I hope you lose every penny you stole from us.
More of the same. But their website is truly damning, a GoDaddy parking page. That's an obituary if I've ever seen one. So
what happened here? For the $1.
Well, let's get to know the Revo and we'll find out.
Behold the most annoying bike.
The motor is not on, and with great difficulty I am pedaling it. Can you believe how loud it is?
This is another thing I don't like, but not necessarily about e-bikes, because a lot of e-bikes will just go anyways, even if they're not on. But electric scooters, you can't just use as a scooter. This is another reason why bicycles, plain bicycles, are superior, and even like plain scooters. The fact that you can't just like use an electric scooter as a scooter when it's not on is such cancer. Never knew that. Yeah, so with e-scooters, they have like a braking mechanism in them. To my understanding. I could be completely off base about this, but to my understanding, just from using them, e-scooters have like... maybe it's not the braking mechanism activating. It's like... the wheels won't just turn. They don't just turn. They have to be motorized. If you try and just push them, yeah, you can't shift it to neutral. It's bad. It's really bad. The motor naturally resists spinning because of the generator.
The second you start pedaling this thing, you start noticing a lot of stuff, and I'm gonna try and break it down. Let's start with the wheels, because I think that's...
No free will, yeah. Also, remaining you, rename it the Scamville. So, like, another annoying thing is, like, if you're going down a hill on an e-scooter, some of them will start, like, locking up. If you're going down a hill on an e-scooter, some of them, it's like they'll purposely try. I don't know if it's like designed that way or if it's just like how the motor works, but basically like it will slow you down. Even if like the speed is turned all the way up. It is such fucking cancer. It's such fucking cancer. It's not fun. It's not fun. I think e-scooters are fun. I think I just like riding around on stuff. I'm starting to realize. I don't know why I never really thought about this before, but I mean, I like bicycles, and I like scooters, and I like e-scooters, and I like the ripsticks. Although I don't have mine anymore. I very foolishly, I regret this decision. I gave my ripsticks, which mine wasn't name brand, but I gave mine away to a younger family member. And every so often, I get the urge to ride it again, and I just can't. It sucks.
A lot
Back
of
to
where
Revo.
it's stemming from. Any bike, even e-bikes, they just roll, right? As soon as you stop pedaling, it just rolls on forever. It's like gliding. You just feel the resistance every step of the way on this thing, whether or not you're pedaling. Look at this.
This is just like how e-scooter wheels are. It's so
I don't know
garbage.
if you've ever spun a normal bike wheel.
Man, I want another pair of Heelys! Ah! I wanna go! On wheels! Fast!
But it's very much unlike that. A normal bike wheel has spokes, and then there's a hub in the middle, and that hub is extremely reliable. They haven't changed much in 100 years, and a modern hub you can restore to like new condition for $1. They just take these little bearings that you can pop in. This has, I don't know, a bearing the entire way around, and so there's a lot
Get
more
some.
resistance.
I should get Heelys.
And I suspect you can't service it because they don't sell parts for it. The company doesn't exist anymore, and it's not like you could rob some parts off another hubless wheel. And so let this sink in. The entire premise of the Revo hubless bicycle is that it lacks one of the most reliable moving parts ever made.
I should find a shitty bicycle and I should refurbish it and turn it into an Itasha.
Certainly one of the most reliable moving parts on a modern bicycle.
Itachari.
And in its
Itachari.
place, they replaced it with an unserviceable, heavy, complicated, and noisy hubless wheel. Yet, they're making the claim that this bicycle is revolutionary, that it's got a really smart pedal assist, and that it's really smooth. They even advertise its lightweight core. This is one of the heaviest
That's such an
bicycles.
unfortunate color. Yeah, imagine getting a sleek and stylish Tron-looking bike and you're like, yeah, I want it to be shit brown.
I've ever picked up in my life. They say it's like 70-something pounds. I think it's heavier. Underneath this big plastic clamshell is likely just big solid pieces of aluminum and steel. Maybe we'll take it apart later and find that out. But we've got a lot to cover before then because I haven't even registered the fingerprint scanner or any of the security features they have.
Wait, thank you. Still waiting for the thingies from the air gear to be real.
The Revo app, which still exists because this thing has a whole bunch of features. For example, in here, it's supposed to have a SIM card slot so you can GPS track the thing. There is a built-in fingerprint scanner up here that secures the bike. And
Garbage.
if you lock it with the fingerprint scanner, there's supposed to be a wheel lock back here that keeps the bike from going. And so I want to be able to use all that. It's
Did you know
asking me to
fingerprints actually
register a new
change?
bike, and so let's see how that works. I think we might actually be able to get this app to work. 1111. Revo, because it's high tech, they want you to use your smartphone. Everybody loves that. And as you can see here, they give you some adhesive to attach your smartphone to the handlebars. So the phone's all mounted to the handlebars. We got the Revo app running. Let's start talking
My
about how
skin
this
fell
thing
off. I
actually
need that.
functions as a bike. And one of the first things you're gonna notice when you start riding it after you've absorbed the noise and the terrible ride is how hard it is to stop. I'm gonna go a reasonable speed down this bridge, and I'm gonna start applying my brakes right here. Let's see how long it takes me to stop.
Ah!
That was a full-on emergency stop. I had both of my entire hands on the brake levers, gripping them as hard as I could, and it could barely stop the bike. That's really alarming. And given the—
Does anyone else have nightmares that the brakes go out in their car or on their bicycle and they fucking veer off a cliff and drown in a lake?
weight of
Trapped in their vehicle or just unable to swim to the surface?
the bike, and the airless tires, and just all the sketchiness, it has no
Master, thank you. Are you getting tired of a bike just having this single point of failure? Why not design your bike around more and bigger points of failure?
business going this fast with brakes like this. Brakes
Well,
are
now,
effectively the most
you're welcome.
important safety feature on any bicycle, let alone an e-bike that weighs 70 pounds. That $200 bike I bought on Amazon had pretty decent brakes, actually. They were cable actuated disc brakes. This doesn't have a hub, and so it can't have rotors, and so can't have disc brakes. So they're using cheap caliper brakes like you would find on, I don't know, a kid's bike from the early 1990s, except that bike is stopping a little kid going 5 miles an hour. Oh crap, there's a speed bump. Oh my God, that took all my might.
Blech.
Ugh. And so I've already mentioned several times that this is in fact an e-bike, and so let's talk about that. An
Doesn't
e-bike
seem like
is
it's
supposed
very
to pedal like a normal
E.
bicycle and then also have electric assist, and so it should do both. And as you can see, there's no chain or sprockets or anything down here. The drivetrain's all inside it, and presumably everything that makes this wheel go kind of is enclosed in here, except on this thing, it is extremely difficult to pedal, very inefficient, and then when you stop pedaling, it stops almost immediately. And so let's be honest, nobody's gonna be using this as an analog bicycle. You're gonna be using electric assist because it is so hard to pedal without it, it's not even on the table.
Garbage. But this thing is such cancer AIDS.
Okay, so we've been riding this as an e-bike for close to 30 seconds. I went over that bridge, there's like a little lip, like a bump. After I hit that bump, the back started making noises. Let's examine this and see if it's something that could ever be repaired. Yeah, listen to that. It's like there's a jump in the wheel. It's done, it's garbage. Right, where am I gonna get replacement parts for this thing? And all I did was ride down a bikeway and hit a little bump on a bridge. Now,
Kind of a badass display piece. Not worth the money. And if you bought one of these, like, while they were hype, I feel really bad for you. But, like, owning one of these as, like, a piece of history, like, that's crazy. How much was it? I don't know.
Even go from here.
How do you make it stop?
It still goes, so let's keep discovering how bad it is.
This is kind of like owning the Sonichu medallion of bicycles. $3,000 USD! Oh my God.
Guys, I had a whole video planned here. Like, I spent money on the bike and I was planning on selling it afterwards. Now it's broken. And then half the things I want to show you don't even work. It's so much worse than I thought. But it's not for lack of trying. They really tried to put a lot of good features on this. Let me show you some of them and you tell me whether this is something a bicycle needs. So check it out, the fingerprint scanner over here, you can
Bike
move
does not
it
need.
left or right and it will actually put on signals to their—
Okay, you know what? That's kind of neat. You know what? If your bike, for whatever reason, is going to have a fingerprint scanner, it also doubling as turn signals, that's kind of neat. Aaron T, thank you. Just remove your fingers before crimes. Easy.
Credit, it's good to have lighting on a bike. That's a good safety feature. Of course, you can't stop, so it doesn't really matter, but it does have signals and brake lights, and that's one of the unique things about these wheels. You can put stationary things on them because they're not spinning. So what do you think these little handle things are? These stay just like this when the bike is in motion. It's to carry a bag. They actually made a custom Revo bag, and it goes inside the wheel. That brings the center of gravity way down, and it's actually pretty freaking functional. And so if this was a good bike and I was able to ride it all the time, I would put some kind of big storage container in here. But of course, it breaks after you hit one bump, and so we can't do that. Now, I mentioned before—
That sucks. This thing sucks. If you want to spend $3K on a heavy arse folding bike, what do you mean? Bromptons are not necessarily $3,000. They're expensive. But you know, this is rage bait.
Revo has airless tires, which amount to just rubber wrapped around the wheel. But if it did have pneumatic tires, if they did take air and you had to change one, I don't think you'd have to take the bike apart at all. Look at this. The wheel on the front, it's just attached on one side and it's all open over here. You can access the entire tire, and they've done the same thing on the rear. It's open right
Can the tire not, like... I don't know.
here. So if this was a normal bike, you'd be
Can
able
you not just replace the tire somehow?
to air it down, use a tire lever, and just take the tire straight off. But I'm not really sure what we do here. So let me show you something on the other side of the bike. Oh, it's so heavy. Okay. The kickstand.
Oh, you pain in the ass?
So they call this an invisible kickstand because you flip and it just melds into the frame. You can't see it at all. Pretty cool styling, actually, but it's a terrible kickstand, I'm sorry to say. Now, it is pretty easy to flip down because you just push on the side of the frame and there it goes. But most kickstands, when you put the bike in motion, it goes up. This kickstand locks into place like this and kind of goes in reverse. So I find myself getting on the bike and trying to go, and then having the kickstand kind of bind up. But they actually made the wheel lock when the kickstand is engaged. So when the kickstand is up, this wheel can turn freely. When you put the kickstand down, it is locked. And I suppose that if you had the app, it would actually stay locked and not be able to flip up.
I mean, that's kind of a cool feature. It's bullshit that it's locked behind an app, but like in theory, that's a cool feature.
I don't really know. While the engineers were testing the Revo, they must have realized how bad the ride was because they put a suspension seat post on it. Does almost nothing to make the ride better. I forgot this is all brick. But as you can see, the seat post has a little spring in it, and when you push down on it, it gives. Kind of sucks. There are actually pretty good suspension seat posts, like the Thud Buster. This is not that. This is as cheap a suspension seat post as you can get. Now, I did show you before this cool little...
Oh, wow. Funny that. They installed the feature, but went as cheaply as they possibly could about it. So they could advertise that they have the feature, but not actually make a good product.
Phone mount, because the Revo is
Brompton
supposed to
would
operate
never.
with an app. And they thought of putting this USB port over here, which is of course powered by the battery that makes the bike go. That's actually a really smart feature. I wish more e-bikes had that, because if you have your phone mounted up here...
But also if it rains. What if it rains?
Be it horizontally or vertically, you might want to be able to charge it. I guess it would have been kind of nice if this was Type-C, but I mean, what are we really expecting at this point? So good thinking. That's one good feature of the Revo. And you can't ignore the styling. That's the Revo's killer feature, and to their credit, they did a
It needs a cover. Yeah, it needs a cover. There you go.
good job here. It's
Does it have a waterproof phone? The issue is not the phone being waterproof. The issue is there's a port on your bicycle that presumably connects to the battery that powers everything about the bike that is in direct potential contact for rain.
really striking. It's the most unique bike I've ever reviewed, for sure. But I can't tell whether people are looking at me because of that or because it's so noisy. And so I'm gonna take it into town and park it in a couple of places, and we're gonna see what people's reactions are. All right, so we survived getting downtown. I'm walking it down the sidewalk, and I discovered something terrifying about this bike. So when you push it along, the pedals move because it's just not very mechanically sound. And so if you push it fast enough, the pedals actually engage the pedal assist, and it's a chain reaction. The bike keeps going. Watch this. Okay, so you're walking your bike and you kind of jog across the street a little bit.
Ah!
And it kicks in. And so you might say,
This bike will fucking kill you! Holy shit!
hey Seth, just turn it off. I can't turn it off. I tried.
Oh
I tried
my
holding down
God!
the power button on the battery, everything. The only way to do that is to take the battery out, but I need the keys to take it out, and I don't have the keys on me. So this thing is just a death trap.
That's insane.
This happens to be the worst bicycle ever made.
Oh no.
I like the way it looks. First thing I do is put me a big seat on that thing. I can't stand them seats that go up the crack of your butt.
Both on and off camera today, I've gotten a
It does look cool, but oh my god. The Bloodhound, thank you. Just Bloodhound. The bike was a Kickstarter, and the people behind it disappeared and scammed the supporters. I believe only a handful got shipped out. Yeah, they said in the video earlier, 150 got shipped out.
From people, and most people ask, how fast does it go? People who don't know bikes, they notice that it looks crazy, but they can't quite pinpoint what it is. They're just like, that's a crazy bike, how fast does it go? And so we must consider who ordered these. I don't think it was bicycling enthusiasts, it was people who saw it and said, that thing looks cool, that thing looks awesome, maybe that price tag is worth it. And yeah, we go back to the comments and we see what those customers think now. We got ripped off, this was a scam, but really was it? Were they trying to scam people? I don't think so. So again, they ended up making this and it was delivered to some people, and most of the people who did get their Revo complained about it. They complained about the noise, they complained about all the things that I'm complaining about today.
I guess it was easier to make it a scam than risk a lawsuit when some motherfucker gets yanked into traffic by the pedal assist and dies and it becomes a lawsuit.
But to their credit, Revo tried to correct. They made several batches of them and they kept trying to fix different things about them. And so I don't know what better your batch, the better the Revo. And so people are like, okay, the $6.7 million, they just ran away with that. I don't see how they could have done that because they actually produced the bike. And so there was engineering, there was tooling, there was order fulfillment. And it looks like they spent a lot on marketing and reputation management because every single article about this thing is positive. And I don't see how that could be legitimate journalism. And so for people that are saying that this was a scam, that it was vaporware, that's just objectively not true. I think it was unethical. I think it was wildly irresponsible, but I don't think they were trying to scam people. I think they really thought that this was gonna take off and be successful, even though it is—
I think it's unethical to let people ride this bicycle. I think you might have killed that kid.
Worst bicycle in the whole world. So what this bike really seems like to me is a prototype that never made it out of the prototype phase. They just started manufacturing these prototypes and sending them out to people. This is what a product would look like from a legitimate company before it goes through 3 or 4 rounds of polishing to fix all the problems. And so if you were a fly on the wall behind the scenes, what you would probably see is them just rushing it out the door, just justifying it. It's not that bad. Yeah, it's got a really bad ride, but we put that suspension seat post on it, so it's good now. Runs like a prototype. It's as easy to find replacement parts for as a prototype. Look, if you sign into a crowdfunding site and you back something, you're taking a risk, especially if it's something—
This thing sucks.